My name is Michael Feudale, and I'm a digital cinematography student at Full Sail University, and today I'm going to talk about the history of documentary filmmaking. Documentary filmmaking started by simply trying to capture a moment on screen. Whether it be a train pulling into a station or a boat docking at a pier, two people who started this genre and are the entire reason we even have the documentary genre today are the Lumiere brothers. They would take their portable camera and they would try to film anything that would catch their interest. They would make about minute-long films that became known as actualities. They were all about something happening in the real world, and they didn't care too much about entertaining audiences. We went from actualities into newsreel years later, and newsreel was originally started by the Path Company, but so many other companies saw the benefit of it that they started making newsreels themselves. It's actually the predecessor to the modern day news of Fox, CNN, things like that. The American government used newsreel at the time to push support for World War I, and mind you, while highly edited so as to not sour people's view on the war. When we go from the newsreel, we talk about Robert Flaherty and his film The Nook of the North. The Nook of the North started as a promotional film for a French fur company, but it evolved into so much more and has become what a lot of people say is one of the greatest documentaries ever made. We go from these types of films that are for the most part innocent, if you excuse the editing that the US government imposed on their footage, get to a controversial stage in documentary filmmaking, and these films were the propaganda films. Propaganda was used to change people's views to a specific point of view, and it was usually influenced by the government. One of the most famous, or I should say infamous, propaganda films of the era is The Triumph of Will. It was backed by and financed by Adolf Hitler, and it was used to push the Nazi agenda. A famous propaganda filmmaker of the time, though, John Grierson, created propaganda films for the Empire Marketing Company in the UK about agriculture, and is actually the first person to coin the term documentary. He had a long career in the UK, but eventually moved to Canada, where he started the Canadian Film Board. When we go from propaganda, we talk about the complete opposite style of film, and that was cinema verite. Verite was the film of the cinema of truth. It believed that the filmmaker should be a fly on the wall and should not influence the subject matter whatsoever. Should just let what happens, but it was edited in such a way that it was still extremely entertaining. As a matter of fact, editing was such a vital part of this genre of filmmaking that the editors were often credited as co-directors. When we go from cinema verite and we start talking about the modern documentaries of Michael Moore, like Fahrenheit 9/11 and Bowling for Columbine, controversial, but the two most successful documentaries in history. And we talk about Ken Burns, whose style of editing has become so influential that many filmmakers are still using it today, and including in iMovie, an effect known as the Ken Burns effect. Documentary filmmaking has been around as long as filmmaking has been around, and to this day is still one of the most powerful and greatest forms of film to date. Thank you.